Hello everyone, welcome to another DCS video. Today we're going to fly the UH60L Black Hawk helicopter, a brand new mod. It's a free mod and the developers have done an outstanding job, and I really mean it, a beautiful job implementing this module. It's an early version, there's still some functionality that needs to be implemented, but from what I'm seeing, this promises to be one of the best mods, free mods available out there. Right on par with the top helicopter mods like the Mi-24 and the UH-1H. So I highly recommend this. This is an outstanding module. So after doing a couple of daytime flights and practicing a little bit of daytime air-to-air refueling, I decided to do a little bit of a night ops mission. And this is off of Batumi. We're taking off from Batumi, and I've set up a mission where a tanker is going to fly up and down the coast, and we're going to try to intercept. And the problem is that from what I'm seeing, there is no TACAN, and in fact the communication hasn't quite been implemented yet, so I guess we'll find out how we're gonna detect this tanker. I kind of know where he's going to be, more or less. He's going to fly up and down the coast, very near the coastline, so I'll put my night vision goggles. I'll climb to 5,000 feet, that's the tanker altitude that I've set up, and then I'll see if I can find them in the dark and get behind them and tank up. We just took off from Batumi and we're flying up the coast, and in a second I'm going to turn on my night vision goggles and I'm going to try to keep an eye out for I don't even know what it's going to look like in the dark. So here are the night vision goggles, but he's got to be somewhere here. If not, we'll turn around and oh, there he is. So if you look literally almost just to the center of the screen, passing to the left now is like a little dash, and that dash is flying toward the coast, so we're turning to intercept. So that's got to be the tanker. So I got lucky here. I managed to spot the guy as he was flying past me. So we're gonna go ahead, turn ourselves around and get behind the tanker, and we'll contact him and see if we can do a nighttime refueling. This is going to be a first for me. I've done several daytime, and it's fairly easy to do in this mod. But nighttime I've only done once in the F-18. I've never done night refueling in anything else, so this is going to be literally a first for me. After we finish playing with the tanker, we're going to turn around, and I have a couple of ships, an Oliver Perry and Ticonderoga class ships that are anchored pretty close to the shore, so we're going to try landing on them at night. So here's our tanker now. He's clearly visible. He turned on his lights, so we're gonna catch up to him and we're gonna see if we can do some tanking, some air refueling. It's a little strange refueling a helicopter. That's another first for me. Normally in an aircraft, if you want to go forward, you apply throttle, and if you want to pitch up or down, you pull back or forward on the stick. In the helicopter, it's the reverse. If you want to go forward, you have to push forward on the stick. If you want to stop going forward, you pull back on the stick a little, and if you want to go up and down, that's the throttle. Actually, that's the collective, pulling on the collective a little bit to get you up to altitude or lower down. So it's almost the reverse of how you tank a fixed wing aircraft. So here we are. We're calling pre-contact. Tanker has his lights on, so we should be ready to go. So he's letting us come up, and here comes the refueling probe. Let's see if we can catch it. The refueling probe on the Blackhawk is this humongous thing that's sticking up the front. So the problem is that it's pitch dark, and that refueling probe is black. The tip of it is black anyway. So I can clearly see the basket. I can see part of the my refueling probe, but what sticks out, the actual thing that goes into the basket, that's a black piece of metal over the black ocean, and I can't see a thing. So that's the hardest thing. In daytime, it's not a problem at all. At night, well, it's a bit of a guessing game. So I'm gonna try to sort of guesstimate where my probe is relative to that basket. There it is. So once it flies over the basket, oh, I got lucky. So we're in the basket. Oh, oops. Well, spoke too soon. We're hooked up and disconnected. So it's usually fairly easy to stay in the basket once you're hooked in, but I kind of messed up this time. So let's try this again. So there's the probe. I'm going to come from above so I can see my probe over the whiteness of the basket. And there we go, a little forward and hooked up again. So let's see if we can stay now with the tanker. And again, it's an easy mod to fly. It's very enjoyable. So once you're in the basket, it's relatively straightforward to stay behind the tanker and to stay in formation. The only thing you kind of have to train your brain a little bit is to think, if I need to move forward, you know, you push the stick forward, and if you want to go up, you pull up on the collective. So they just reported that we're full, and we're gonna fly formation with the tanker for a couple of seconds, and then we're gonna turn ourselves around, fly back toward Batumi, and then we're gonna look for those two ships and see if we can land on them. So I'm gonna turn off the night vision goggles. They were really important. So there's our tanker, lights on, without the NVG. Now I'm gonna turn to the right, make a 180 and fly up the coast again toward Batumi. And those two ships, they're not actually anchored, they're moving, but they're pretty close to Batumi, so there should be somewhere there. And I think they have lights on, so I can probably spot them in the distance. So we'll see if I can find those ships. We're gonna land on the Oliver Perry first, and then the Ticonderoga is gonna be right next to it, or like a couple of miles. And we'll hop on from one ship to the other, and then if we're successful, we'll head back to Batumi and land this thing. I'm still getting used to all the buttons and switches and trying to figure out, you know, what the controls are, but so far it's been fairly intuitive. One thing that I've never really paid attention to now is that radar altimeter. The radar altimeter is a lifesaver when you're flying in poor visibility or at night. Like right now, I'm attempting to land. You can see the lights from the Oliver Perry down below. So I'm gonna come down. I started at about 1,500 feet, and I'm gonna come down pretty quickly. And at the same time, when we get down low, I'm gonna try to arrest my forward speed because I'm doing about 150 knots. So I'm gonna try to catch up to the ship, and then I'm gonna slow myself down and fly just above the water basically, and slowly approach the ship from the stern and see if we can plot this thing on the back. The problem is that when you get to the ship, yeah, so here you see me kind of pitch up, which is a bit of a issue with this mod. You tend to lose visibility when you pitch up like this. I assume it's so in the real aircraft as well. But yeah, there. So you can kind of see the deck right now. So we're pretty close, and we're at about 90 feet and coming down. So we're gonna stabilize. We're down to about 70 knots and 39 feet, 38 feet. That's the only thing I'm paying attention to. That's radar altimeter, the airspeed indicator, and I'm looking for that lineup. So as I was saying, the problem is since there's no communication, there's no way to tell the ship to get ready for us. I mean, I called them up, they didn't respond because the radio is not implemented yet. So as I'm coming in, those two rails on the sides are still fully erect. So I'm gonna have to come in steep, basically fly just over the landing area and then land straight down vertically. So I can't quite have any kind of rolling movement forward. Normally when you call the ship, if they allow you to land, they would lower those two guardrails on the side. See how they're lower now? A little too late. Normally what happens is those guardrails, as soon as you call up your intention to land, those guardrails will come down and you can slide in from the side. So this was the challenge in landing here. The guardrails were still up and they only came down after I landed, sort of too little too late, but we're down. Those lights are kind of weird. Normally they look much better, but I don't know what's up with the floodlights. But off in the distance, a little to the left, you're gonna see the Ticonderoga. It's probably 3 or 4 miles away from the Oliver Perry. We just took off from the Oliver Perry, and we're gonna fly to the Ticonderoga, and we're gonna try to contact them, but they have the same kind of problem. The guardrails on the sides will not come down unless they acknowledge my radio call, and since the radios don't operate on the Blackhawk, there's no way that I'm gonna get those guardrails down. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing, except the landing platform on the Ticonderoga is much tighter. It's much smaller compared to the Oliver Perry. So we'll see what's gonna happen. We'll fly forward. Right now it's just a couple of blinking dots. Again, I'm paying attention. I climbed up. I'm at about 500 feet, doing about 110 knots, 120 knots or so. But as I get a little closer, I'm gonna start to come down, and I'm gonna start to pitch up in order to decrease my airspeed. I'm looking for about 50 knots or so when I get close to the ship. So there you go. I'm gonna pitch up now, reduce the throttle, pitch up, and I'll wait for the airspeed to decay. I can kind of start seeing details on the ship. Well, not quite, but I can definitely see the landing platform sort of outlined in lights. So there's my airspeed. It's coming down. We're doing about 75 knots now, and we're just off. So we're at, ooh, that was scary. That was I almost hit the water. I came down to like 4, literally almost hit the water. I wasn't paying attention. So in panic, I climbed up to 170. There's the ship now, so let's not panic. So that was scary. Landed in the sea, almost. So we're back down to about 36, 40 feet, doing about 50 knots, and we're just gonna pitch slightly forward just to keep the forward momentum going. And as we pitch forward, we also lower the collective in order not to climb. So I'm trying to basically maintain the same altitude and slowly creep in until I'm just above the landing platform. And at that point, I'm just going to slowly lower the collective and drop myself in place. So notice that the guardrails are still up. That's because there's no way for me to contact the ship and call in my radio, my landing approach. So I'm just pitching forwards a little more, and right there we should just drop down. So there you go. And I actually good. So, and of course, just like with the Oliver Perry, as soon as I touch down, they decide to drop the guardrails. Well, thanks guys, but too late now. But we're safely on board the ship, and we're off again. Just took off, and alright, so mission complete. We found the tanker somehow. We refueled. We did an air-to-air refueling at night. Then we landed on the Oliver Perry. And then we landed on the Ticonderoga. And now we're just going to turn ourselves around and see if we can find Batumi in the dark. Which is not going to be very hard to do because now you can see the lights easily enough, and the water is, there's a river right next to the airport, so it's easy to find. So there we are. I'm not really sure how to fly an approach pattern with a helicopter, but I'm trying to do the same thing I'm doing in a fixed-wing aircraft. Basically keep 2 red and 2 white lights on my approach indicators there. I don't know why the runway is not lit up, but well, I guess because I can't contact the airport, so I'm slowing down by pitching up, and I'm over the runway now. Basically I can land, but instead of landing I'm just gonna fly a little forwards. It's quicker. I guess it's quicker than rolling on the ground. Just kind of fun actually to do. The Blackhawk drives almost like a crow. At least the mod does. You land it on the ground and you don't need to touch the collective. You just push the cyclic forward and it goes forward. And you push the you pull the cyclic back and it stops. So it's kind of a weird way of driving on the ground, but I just want to practice my slow flight and hovering technique, so I'm just going to hover my way back to the landing platform. So I'm going to fly down the length of the runway until we get to that first taxiway, and then we're going to turn off and we're going to go park in our parking area. Now, technically, I could have cut across right here. I mean, the parking area is off to my left, so I should have just cut across. But again, I'm trying to practice slow flight and hovering, so it's a good practice. So I'm gonna get ready here to take the first taxiway off to the left. There you go. So turn. We're off the runway. And now I'm gonna go find our parking spots. I'm not gonna park next to the terminal. I'm gonna park where I started from. There are a couple of Russian Mi-8 helicopters parked over there. I'm gonna park right in front of them. I think that's where I took off from. So I'm gonna slide sideways. Practice a little bit of sideways flight, and then we're going to pitch forward and fly toward our parking area. Unfortunately, our parking area is not well lit, so I can kind of see when I'm flying. I'm flying in VR, so I can kind of see where I'm going, but I'm afraid the video is not very clear. I don't know if you guys can see the 2 helicopters and there's a truck next to them. So I'm right there, pretty much. So now I'm gonna arrest my right way motion and I'm gonna try to come down as gently as I possibly can. So here we go. Slightly more to the right and down, 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 and we're down and safe. Alright, so here's the Russian Mi-8. The other one is right behind me. And parking brake on, let's turn the lights on, and throttle back. And now we're going to turn the engines off. Number 2. And number 1, we're gonna shut the fuel supply, and then number 2 is out, number 1 is out. Oops, I meant to go in the other direction, so power supply is cut off and we're down and safe. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.